My dad's new girlfriend was coming over for dinner to meet me for the first time. But when she saw my Hermes bag, her face darkened instantly. She threw down her fork and stormed out. When my dad asked why, she said, "How can someone so young afford such an expensive bag? She must be living off her parents." I laughed. "You're right. We shouldn't live off our parents. Or our children. So I guess I'll cancel my dad's credit card." Let me rewind. That day my dad had called. "Lydia, are you free tonight? Autumn wants to have dinner together." I said yes. After all, it was our first meeting. I even bought her a Chanel bag as a gift. When I arrived, she greeted me with a fake smile. But her eyes, they were locked on my purse. We sat down. I gave her the gift. She opened the box, smiled, and said, "Oh, you shouldn't have. I forgot to bring you anything. I'll make it up to you later." I smiled politely. I didn't care about gifts, as long as my dad was happy. But soon after, her mood shifted. She shoved the Chanel bag back into the box and dropped it on the floor. I asked, "Aunt Autumn, don't you like it?" She snapped, "This bag isn't even a tenth of what yours costs. Are you looking down on me?" My dad tried to calm her. "It's the thought that counts." But she wouldn't stop. If she really respected me, she'd have bought me a Hermes too. And why is she carrying one anyway? She's spoiled. Who would want to marry her? I slammed my chopsticks down. "If you don't like the bag, I'll take it back." And no, my dad didn't buy this for me. She scoffed. "Then how did you afford it?" I smiled. "Since you said we shouldn't live off our parents, I'll cancel my dad's credit card." She froze. My dad sighed. "She manages my money. The card's hers." Autumn's face twisted. She tried to backpedal. "Lydia, I actually love the bag." I pulled it from her hands. "Well, I don't want to give it to you anymore." I left. The next day, my dad showed up at my office. "Autumn cried after you left," he said. "She was just upset. She's afraid of being poor." I felt bad. My dad finally found someone he liked after all these years. So I agreed to give her another chance. Dinner the next night. But when I got there, it wasn't just my dad and Autumn. There was a man, chubby, greasy, stuffing his face. Autumn smiled. "Lydia, this is my nephew. He's single too. Maybe you two can get to know each other." The man wiped his mouth, extended his hand. "Hi, I'm Greg. You've got a great figure." I looked at my dad. He avoided my gaze. It hit me. This wasn't dinner. It was a setup. A blind date ambush. I stood up. "I'm not here to be married off. I'm leaving." Autumn ran to block me. "How can you be so rude?" Greg chimed in, annoyed. "Didn't you say she was richer and prettier than my ex-wife? I thought she was going to be the mother of my kids." I turned to my dad one last time. "You once said no one would matter more to you than me. I guess that changed." And I walked away. They say the kind of person someone tries to set you up with reflects how they see you. Autumn was one thing, but for my dad, who knew everything about me, what did he think I was? This time I was thoroughly enraged. I shoved Autumn aside and slammed the door so hard it shook the walls. I don't know how Autumn consoled her precious nephew, but on my way back, my phone kept buzzing. My dad had sent me countless messages. Only when I got back to my apartment did I have time to skim through them. The gist was that he was doing this for my own good, and that my behavior today was extremely disrespectful to my elders. He concluded by subtly suggesting he wanted me to return the money I had been managing for him all these years. I had chosen a very good investment product for my dad, which would mature in a year. The fact that he was now urgently asking me for money, I didn't need to guess whose idea that was. I couldn't be bothered to explain. I directly transferred him the original $150,000 plus $32,000 in interest. The money was received quickly, in less than 2 seconds. It seemed they had been waiting by the phone. Still not satisfied, I sent my dad another message. "I've returned your money. From now on, live your own life. Don't contact me unless it's really important." Soon after, I received his reply. "Okay." I fell back in exasperation. The next day, I immediately notified the bank to lock the credit card I had given my dad. The bank informed me that I needed to pay off last month's expenses and that they had sent the records to my email. Busy with work, I hastily agreed. When I finally had time to check, I opened the email with the expense records and was so shocked that I called the bank again to verify their authenticity. In 1 month, my dad had charged $176,000 on that credit card. The expenses were all over the place, from large home appliances like refrigerators, TVs, and washing machines to underwear, and even adult products. I took a sharp breath and, after some thought, sent the bill to my dad. This time, I received a call from him. Why are you pulling up statements out of the blue? He asked, sounding irritated. Not only do you disrespect your elders now, but you're also invading people's privacy? I was truly flabbergasted. Your spending last month was so high that the bank specifically sent me a statement for repayment. Where did you buy all these things? I didn't see any new additions at home. There was some rustling on his end, then he lowered his voice. Your Aunt Autumn's previous house was empty, with nothing in it. I thought since I often stay there, I'd buy some things. Then came the impatience in his tone. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Listening to the echo on the phone, I was so angry I could barely catch my breath. Using my money to please his girlfriend, allowing her to criticize me, plan my future, and even encouraging people like Greg? Autumn was problematic, but my dad was even worse. I calmed down and immediately made another call. Hello, it's me. Help me find an address, and then bring some people there. After hanging up, I was about to get back to work when my assistant, Amy, knocked on my office door looking troubled. Ms. Young, there's someone downstairs claiming to be your boyfriend. He wants you to go down and meet him. When Amy and I got downstairs, we saw several men in work attire huddled together, talking, occasionally glancing at passing women with lewd smiles. Greg, who was surrounded by them, spotted me and immediately pushed his friends aside to walk toward me. Honey, you finally came down. My buddies and I were just in the neighborhood. Since it's your first time meeting them, you should treat them to something nice. Greg's honey shocked not only me but everyone around. Who the hell is your honey? I turned to the security guards. Who let these people in? Get them out. As the guards approached, Greg's friends looked confused, shouting at him to control me. Greg's face darkened and he reached out to grab me, but Amy quickly stepped between us and slapped his hand away. I forgot to mention, Amy used to be a district-level boxing champion. This slap was no joke. Greg rubbed the spot where he'd been hit, eyes filled with resentment. Aunt was right. Women like you need to be taught a lesson in bed to behave. We've eaten at the same table. How are we not a couple? I looked at Greg in disbelief. No need for that. Next time we eat at the same table, I'll be looking at your memorial tablet. It took Greg a few seconds to realize I was cursing him. By then, the guards were dragging him away. The head of security came over apologetically. I'm sorry, Ms. Young. He showed us a photo of you two together, so I thought. What photo? I asked, stunned. The guards reacted quickly, jostling Greg. A photo fell out. Amy picked it up. It showed Greg in an intimate pose with a woman who looked like me. But the image had clearly been photoshopped. Contact the legal department. Someone has violated my right of portrait, I said, handing the photo to Amy. Greg, you'd better come clean about where you got my photo. Otherwise, I'll sue you until you're penniless. Greg, now intimidated, admitted Autumn had given him the photo. She also knew my company and home addresses. As for who gave her those details, the answer was obvious. I waved to the guards to drag him out. Although I already knew my dad was completely on Autumn's side, just thinking about how easily he handed me over like some gift still stung. The lawyer worked quickly, not only filing a lawsuit against Greg, but uncovering more. It turned out that after learning about my identity, Autumn contacted several single male relatives overnight, urging even her cousins and nephews to get divorced, all hoping to marry me. Autumn had it all planned. She had my dad under her thumb. Her relatives would trap me next. Then they'd make me have a child to secure their comfort forever. To plan so much in just one evening. There was no way Autumn was innocent. I told the lawyer to be ruthless. Then I opened my front door and was immediately slapped. The slap made my head spin. I staggered back, barely managing to grab the shoe cabinet to steady myself. When I regained my balance, I saw an angry Robert and a pretentiously distressed Autumn in front of me. You ungrateful daughter, what are you trying to do? Robert shouted, shaking with anger. How dare you send people to remove things from your Aunt Autumn's house? Don't you know the law? This is illegal. Robert, don't be so angry. Autumn grabbed his hand and wiped away non-existent tears. Lydia, you've gone too far. I understand you don't want your father buying things for me, but how could you sue Greg? Autumn cried louder. Robert turned to comfort her and glared at me. Tell your people to return the items to your Aunt Autumn, and drop the charges against Greg. He was just being nice, bringing his friends to meet you. You're just as difficult as your mother. Hearing him mention my mother, my chest tightened. He used to speak of her with affection. Now there was only disgust in his tone. I looked carefully at the man before me. He looked like my father, but he didn't feel like him anymore. The things were bought with my money. I have the right to remove them. And as for you too, I stepped back and placed my hand on the alarm button by the door. You entered my home without permission, assaulted me, and leaked my personal information. I will take legal action against both of you. Robert stopped comforting Autumn, and she stopped crying. They looked at me in disbelief. I'm your father. You're going to sue me. Without hesitation, I pressed the alarm. It was connected to the building's security office. Robert rushed toward me. Autumn didn't stop him. Her eyes burned with hatred. Thankfully, the security guards arrived just in time. They pulled Robert off me and restrained Autumn too. At the police station, the officers were clearly uncomfortable. They said it was a family matter and suggested we resolve it privately. Autumn visibly relaxed, throwing me a smug look, as if she'd won. I smiled and pointed at her. One more thing, this woman stole from me. Everyone froze. Robert looked at Autumn, confused. Earlier, I'd reviewed my home's security footage. After Robert brought Autumn over, he went to the bathroom. She took the opportunity to raid my bedroom, stealing gold jewelry and luxury accessories. The police searched her and found several of the stolen items. With the video as evidence, she couldn't deny it. She looked to Robert for help. Robert, please. I scoffed as I signed the police report. This is your amazing girlfriend. I left the rest to the police. When I got home, I changed the locks and told security not to let my dad in anymore. I had lost all faith in Robert. He called me several times afterward, but I never picked up. His only goal was to get Autumn and Greg released. I refused. That's when the vulgar messages started coming. It was like the father I once knew never existed. Autumn was sentenced to a few months for theft. Right after she got out, I learned Robert had married her. I just thought, perfect match. Now stay away from me. But they didn't. As my company grew, my partners and I moved to a new office. We'd been busy for weeks with the transition. Then one day, Amy came to me looking concerned. Ms. Yang, take a look. Isn't this your father? She handed me her phone. I froze. On screen was a live stream. Robert looked disheveled, his hair messy, eyes dull, sitting awkwardly on a worn-out couch. Standing beside him was Autumn, full of fake energy as she ranted to the audience. She accused me of mistreating my father, disrespecting her, and using money and influence to suppress her. She painted me as a cold, greedy daughter trying to drain my own father dry. Even Robert's lack of relationships for a decade was blamed on me. Ms. Yang, if this spreads, it might affect the company's image, Amy warned. I handed the phone back to her. Let the legal team handle it. That's not your job. Amy nodded and left. I went to a quiet room and called Robert. He answered after a while. What's the meaning of this live stream? Are you really trying to ruin me online? Honey, you can't say it like that, he croaked. You won't forgive Autumn, you locked the credit card, you act like I was never your father. I have to think about our future. I heard rustling on the line. I opened the live stream again. They had stepped away from the camera. What do you want to stop all this? I softened my voice. Dad, I never stopped you from finding love. I even bought her a Chanel bag. But she mocked me. She set me up with her divorced nephew. She stole from me. And you never said a word in my defense. Enough with the sob story. Autumn suddenly took the phone. Her shrill voice cut through. $1 million. Give Robert $1 million, and we'll disappear forever. Otherwise, get ready to be humiliated online. I held the phone away slightly, making sure everything was recorded. You want money? I laughed. Fine. I'll burn it for you in 10 or 20 years. I hung up and immediately sent the recording to my lawyer. Autumn's live stream was quickly reported for defamation. With the call recording, surveillance footage, and police reports, we had more than enough evidence. Her live streaming career ended overnight. Not a drop of their dirt stuck to me. And thanks to some helpful netizens, new dirt on them was just beginning to surface. Robert had once told me that Autumn's husband died shortly after they got married. Since then, she had remained a widow, alone just like him, because she hadn't met the right person. Only after meeting Robert did she truly understand what love was. Or so she claimed. A few sweet words had Robert completely fooled. To prove the sincerity of his love, he married Autumn as soon as she got out of jail, claiming it was to make up for her suffering. He handed over all his savings and even added her name to the deed of his house. But after a few live streams, her past was quickly exposed by online sleuths. It turned out Autumn wasn't the loyal widow Robert believed her to be. In reality, she had been married several times. Starting from age 23, she targeted older men with children and financial stability. She fabricated her background, gained their trust, and then began demanding money under various excuses. Once there was nothing left to exploit, or when the children started questioning her behavior, she would reveal her true colors, threatening them into divorce. And each time, she walked away with a generous payout. Robert was her 7th husband. Based on the timeline, Autumn only divorced her previous husband after having been in contact with Robert for 6 months. Even after the divorce, her ex couldn't let her go and allegedly attempted suicide by drinking poison. I hesitated on whether to tell Robert everything I'd discovered. But my lawyer reminded me, Ms. Young, Autumn's behavior fits the pattern of marriage fraud. She might be part of an organized group. I nodded. All right, have someone watch her. I want to know who she's meeting. After marrying Robert, Autumn completely dropped her facade. She no longer cooked or made soups for him. According to the housekeeper I had hired, the couple argued constantly. It seemed their perfect match in hell was already falling apart. Autumn started going out frequently, always to the same 3-star hotel. She'd stay for a few hours, then leave looking refreshed. My people discovered the man booking the rooms. In his 30s, greasy-faced, and clearly more than just a friend. Since I already had front-row seats to this drama, I figured it was time Robert did too. When I got word Autumn was heading to the hotel again, I went to Robert's house. You're saying you're willing to give me money? He asked skeptically. I nodded, then added, but I'll only give the money to you directly. If you don't believe me, we can go meet a lawyer right now. I'll have them draft the agreement and transfer the money afterward. I sighed, looking sincere. No matter what, you're still my dad. Even if you don't acknowledge me anymore because of that woman, like you said, I can't ignore our bond. Robert frowned, thinking for a long moment. When he looked up, his tone had softened. All right, I'll go with you. I just hope you'll stop misunderstanding your Aunt Autumn. She may not be perfect, but she loves me. She even cools down my tea before handing it to me. I nodded politely, trying to keep things moving so we wouldn't miss the show. As we parked near the hotel, my phone buzzed. The lawyer is already in the lobby, I said quickly. Robert hesitated but followed me inside. The moment we stepped in, the elevator opened, and several police officers were escorting a man and woman out. Robert gasped behind me. Autumn! Autumn, head lowered, looked up in shock when she heard his voice. Their eyes met. I turned to someone nearby. Excuse me, what happened? Prostitution bust, the bystander replied, shaking his head. At their age, still sneaking around like that. If I were her husband, I'd jump off a building tonight. As soon as the words were spoken, I heard a dull thud behind me. Robert had collapsed in shock. Robert's rage landed him straight in the ICU. During treatment, the doctors discovered traces of a chronic toxin in his system. One that could lead to cerebral palsy with long-term exposure. The timing of the poisoning matched exactly with when Robert began living with Autumn. At the police station, Autumn frantically tried to explain her relationship with the man she was caught with. But my lawyer had already gathered evidence of her marriage fraud and contacted several ex-husband's family members willing to testify. Following those leads, the police uncovered a full marriage fraud ring, with Autumn as one of its core members. When I reported the poisoning, the housekeeper found the source hidden in Autumn's luggage. That was the final nail in the coffin. Autumn was done for. The day Robert regained consciousness, the doctor informed me he'd suffered a stroke. His speech was gone, he could only produce guttural ah sounds. I sat beside him for a while, then calmly told him everything. Autumn's arrest, her criminal past, the truth behind her lies. Robert responded with louder, more frantic ah sounds. I picked up the remote and switched the TV channel. A news report on marriage fraud filled the screen. The camera zoomed in on Autumn's face. Robert, I said gently, you'll be staying in this hospital room from now on. Don't worry, I'm your daughter. I won't abandon you. I patted his shoulder with a smile. It's okay. Watch the news more. It's the only way you'll get to see your true love again. Robert began to panic. Ah! ing louder and more violently, but I walked out smiling. Maybe Robert truly longed for love. Maybe that's why he was so easily fooled by Autumn. But I wasn't fooled. Because a real father, no matter how much he loves someone, would never let that person repeatedly scheme against his own daughter while he just stands there and watches. My love for Robert died with every slap, every betrayal, every time he chose her over me. I don't regret any of it.